I just remembered the question that I had. Do you ever like when you track hashtags and how they develop, do you ever like notice how it affects when it starts at different countries? Like if, for example, like the Australia TV show that did that horrible jokes about BTS, like that the anger started in Australia and then moved around the globe, or like if something is trending first in Korea and then spreads, or in the US, like maybe like if something starts at the US, it will have more impact right from the beginning versus if it starts in, I don't know, China or something.
Yeah. So at least what we found, like in looking at the maps, they're interesting, right? Because for the first, like right around the time like some hashtag starts being created at like so let's say there's like an issue or a topic that originates in like one particular country. So yeah, you'll see some like lights on the map, like super tiny ones start to light up, and then those eventually grow, which means more people are talking about it. But then and then all of a sudden, like what normally happens with Army is you'll see like a little bit more dots, and then like everybody, like it's like, but that just goes to show you like how connected the fandom is in terms of like social media. Like it's not like people are only following people from their own country, right? Like everyone is following people from like everywhere around the world. So that's why word spreads really, really quickly, because even if it started in the US, these people are sharing it with their networks who is like from all over the world, and then everybody just kind of catches on, and that's why you see like this. There's usually, whenever we do this, there's like a sudden burst of light for the most part, or just even if there's no burst of light, it's just a ton of people from everywhere talking. So conversation certainly starts somewhere, and if it's very focused on a certain country, like it'll stay there for a little bit, but not for long. Nothing ever stays in one place here in the Army.
Interesting that it's not a wave. It's just a burst.
Yeah, people talk about that all the time, right? Like people would expect that you would be able to distinguish like time zones, for instance, right? Because you would expect like if you would expect one side like to be dark, and then like once like it's daytime, then it'll light up, but it's definitely not the case. I mean, Army is ready to, if they're sleeping, they're ready to wake up whenever they need to wake up. So especially if something drops, right? So they're everywhere. But even then, like you can tell Army just never, like a lot of them just are awake at the most odd hours. But it could also just be like, I mean, we talked about this earlier, the fact that, you know, I sometimes stay up so late because I'm afraid to go to bed because I think I'm going to miss something. So, and a lot of times that is the case, right? I mean, like last night there was a V Live and I was about to go to bed, and then I got a notification and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to bed. So yeah, again, people do expect to have that, like those time zones and to be able to distinguish like the different countries on the map. But, you know, all in all, like, I think what's cool about looking at the map is like Army kind of feels like one, and you know everyone's on the same page. It's a really cool thing.
It would be really interesting to do a research about it from like, because when you interact different and you promote something differently when it's done in a wave versus when it's done when everyone knows it at the same time.
Yeah,
and it would be really interesting to see like research of how the information's not just information, but how you can utilize it to create those, to use those bursts, like that everything just lights up at once. It's kind of insane. It would be like, it's like there's stuff to see here.
Yeah, there's definitely, for sure. I agree. It's like, well, I mean, the fandom just keeps you busy like 24/7. There's always something happening. It like never ends.
It never ends. It's a whole like constant cycle of news, and even going to sleep is problematic.
I know some days I'm like, should I go to sleep? And I get so nervous about it because I know like something's gonna happen like when I'm in bed, like, and it does like almost all the time. So
yeah, like you wake up and you miss the V Live.
Yeah, well, I love those tweets, right? Of like you see people who are like waking up and kind of like the realization hits them that they missed something. It's like always like interesting to see. But sleep is good, and I'm sure a lot of us wish that we had more of it. So
yes, definitely. I always miss it for when we chart the whole discography. Like after, for example, the People's Choice Awards. A few months, like it feels like it was 2 months ago, but like half a year ago.
Back in like November.
Yeah, in November. So like it started with anger because we're like upset, and people are like digging in and finding out that like they could decide by themselves like what to do and who wins, and like people were so angry. And then from that to the cipher party, and then to streaming the entire discography, I didn't sleep at all that night. I was so hyped.
I think everyone was at.
Okay, so I have like a few tiny questions here. Someone asked, how do you define baby army? I think each person defines for themselves their baby army.
Yeah. You know, so funny. I have a friend who like for her first couple like weeks to months of being in army, she called herself a baby army, and then once she started getting more comfortable with the fandom and BTS, she upgraded herself to a kindergarten army. Yeah. So it's like personal preference, I guess, on how would you say baby army. I don't really think that there's like a standard like time frame that people would consider themselves baby army. I just feel like people like eventually feel like they know enough and are a part of the fandom enough to be able to like distinguish themselves from being like a new army to being like, okay, like I'm like really comfortable here. Yeah, but definitely no time frame. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you feel like you're a baby army, we have the army history series you can check out. Shameless plug.
Yes, you'll learn a lot from those sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we did 3 episodes, and apparently we already need to do 1 more. So much stuff going on. Like we missed, like we haven't talked about army academia yet.
Oh man.
And we haven't talked about R3 yet, and about the radio project at Army. There's so much.
Yeah, it's too much going on. I know, just when you think you've covered like a good chunk, like there's always something new. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, good, we're done. Okay, 3 episodes. Each one is 3 hours long. It's fun. And then the day I posted it, I saw like a bunch, like 5 new stuff, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I know, that's always how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.